I know, Christmas is already a few weeks past, but I did tease I was going to do it, and it's the good, lucky thing that I'm here at all. And not to seek sympathy or anything, but I mean, let's look at my year here. I had 2 major surgeries. I had a blood clot in my leg that broke off and went into my lung, which you may have just recently heard what killed Gary Shandling. So I'm lucky I just passed out and my dad called an ambulance. It's been a tough year, so if this is a bit late for a Christmas special, I don't really care. I'm lucky I'm able to do it at all. And I did say I was going to do it. I kind of teased it. But what did I tease? Well, it wasn't what I was hoping to do. Oh, God, I'm getting old. So, thanks to all that, I'm afraid I can't do that other nativity story I wanted to see. I wasn't able to seek it out. And the only one I have available to me is sadly a little mediocre. Not quite something I want to celebrate at this point. I might review it at some other point, but for a Christmas special, I kind of want to do something a little special. How about another Christmas classic? But the question is, which one? Well, might as well just go with my favorite, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Wikipedia's entry on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is full of citation needed marks, so take the full story with a questioning eye. What I do know is that the tale actually began as a book created as a Christmas promotional gimmick for Montgomery Ward. Robert May tells a story of a reindeer who was made fun of by his peers, boy can I relate to that, for having a glowing red nose. That part I can't relate to. I had overactive imagination, weak stomach, and temper. One night he's visited by Santa Claus and asked to help him on a foggy night with his bright glowing nose. Rudolph saves Santa's run in quite possibly Christmas, and becomes beloved by all. Wish I could relate. The story was adapted by Max Fleischer for the Jim Henson Corporation, and the next year after that, the famous song was created, made famous by Gene Autry, although Wikipedia as of this writing claims crooner Harry Bannon was first to sing it. Citation needed, though. And from there, Rudolph's path to Christmas icon began. Unlike Santa and the other reindeer, though, there's actually a company that maintains Rudolph's merchandising and media right. The short, with a version of the song edited in re-releases, is in public domain, but the song itself is not. It's owned by Cobalt Music Group, while the licensing for the character is owned by the Rudolph Company LC, with rights managed by Character Arts LLC.
But you don't care about that. You're here for the most famous take on the story. Not the newest one of my Goodreads, but the classic story by the masters of the Christmas special, our old friends Rankin Bass. And I would advise you to look in the public domain status of that on its own. It's complicated. Thanks in part to somebody forgetting a Roman numeral in the copyright. Why do they use Roman numerals for commercials and TV again?
This is the longest running Christmas special, beginning with its first airing in 1964, and has no connection to the original book, which means the Fleischer version is the most accurate adaptation. I haven't read the original, unfortunately, so I don't know how accurate it is, but at least it's based on the book. The special is narrated by the late singer Burl Ives. The special began airing on NBC, but now it's CBS who airs it every Christmas. And the merchandising is all over the place. Readers on my other website, The Clutter Reports, have even seen the Santa sleigh display using the Rankin Bass designs, as well as my little Rudolph action figure, complete with light-up nose. As you can guess, I really like this special.
But what is it about this version that ignores the original book, but it stays so strong in our collective memories and culture? You can't go without hearing the song every Christmas, without cutting yourself off from the universe right after Thanksgiving. Sometimes even during Thanksgiving. But this tale has stood with us from generation to generation. Well, grab your winter coats, while I grab my pencil, because we're heading to the North Pole to unwrap this Christmas favorite.
We begin with snow, so I'm betting this isn't California. Snow is so bad that they may cancel Christmas. Yeah, right, I live in Connecticut. They once kept snow open with weather like this because we had a superintendent from Alaska. It's here that we meet our narrator. What, you thought Burl Ives to play himself? Young Fred Astaire had to be a mailman for his Christmas character origin narration gig. His name is Sam the Snowman, and he's saying that Christmas also got canceled due to the snowstorm. But are you telling me the entire world was covered in snow? Must have freaked the daylights out of Hawaii. I don't even think they've heard of snow. Although I can think of a group of nuns who would be thrilled. Then we meet our Santa and Mrs. Claus for the story, and sadly it isn't the same one from Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which would have been a nice nod. Santa's so worried about the snow that he isn't hungry, but the missus keeps demanding he eat. I didn't know Mrs. Claus was Italian.
Who ever heard of a skinny Santa? Eat! Eat!
Somebody hasn't seen a newspaper in a few years. All the anti-fat activists just raised their hands so hard their shoulders separated. In half. Apparently this is a regular situation, which makes me wonder how he loses that much weight and gains that much weight back. I mean, I draw him thinner than he should be, but drawing overweight people is harder than you think. Or I'm really that bad. After Burl Ives sings the opening line to the famous carol and the credits roll, Sam begins his story. Donner, one of Santa's reindeer, has a son and they name him Rudolph. Now, I don't understand why Rudolph has to be the son of one of Santa's reindeer. The Goodreads movie I mentioned, not sure why they bothered making that though, considering how strong this is in everyone's memory, also made one of the other reindeer Rudolph's daddy, which is not from the book or the song. Rudolph's original parents were just normal reindeer that gave birth to a son whose nose glowed red. Oh, I thought you didn't get your mutant powers when you were a teenager. You lied to me, Professor X. Santa drops by to visit the baby reindeer and learns the boy can already talk and that he has a glowing nose. Donner convinces the worried Kringle that the kid will grow out of it so he'll be worthy of being one of the Christmas reindeer. I'll come back to that, but it leads to the first full song of the piece.
Jingle, 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 you will hear my sleigh bells ring. I am old Kris Kringle, I'm the king of jingling. Jingle, jingle, reindeer, through the frosty air they'll go. They are not just plain deer, they're the fastest deer I know. Ho, ho, you must believe that on Christmas Eve I won't pass you by. I'll dash away in my magic sleigh, flying through the sky.
The song is Santa's way of telling the newborn Rudolph, who already knows Santa's name, about what he does. It's okay, but not the best song of the special. Donner decides to use mud to cover Rudolph's nose. Apparently purposely putting mud on his kid? Nowadays, that would freak some parent out. My kid touched dirt! Ah! A year passes and they continue to hide Rudolph's nose as Donner trains the boy. We also get a brief tease of the required villain of the special, the abominable snow monster, who hates everything Christmas. Don't ask me why, I don't think it was ever really explained. He's just a monster, I guess. Cut to the workshop on Christmas Eve where we meet the elves, who look like I drew them, but rounder except for the chief elf and our other misfit, Hermie. You all know his deal. He doesn't like to make toys because he wants to be a dentist, which earns him confusion from the other elves. Christmas elves make toys. It's what they do. I'm sure there's a Geico ad to prove it. While the others go on break, Hermie is told to stay and finish his toy making or he's fired, which I would think he would want so he could pursue dentistry. Meanwhile, things aren't so happy for Rudolph as Donner forces him to wear a cover over his nose even though it's not comfortable. Donner's determined to get him on the team. I guess they're stage fathers as well as stage mothers. Rudolph looks so sad I feel sorry for the poor kid. Summer arrives, or at least the North Pole version, and Santa's ready to check out the new younglings. Rudolph meets Fireball, who brings him to the reindeer games. Meanwhile, Santa's listening to a new song the elves came up with and rather grumpy about it.
Ho, 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 we are Santa's elves. We are Santa's elves, filling Santa's shelves. With a toy for each girl and boy, oh, we are Santa's elves.
We work hard all day, but our work is play.
Dolls we try out, see if they cry out, we are Santa's elves.
They're not very good as things go wrong during the performance, which just makes Santa grumpier. He brushes them off, and I do agree he could use some work. Maybe some of this place and what happens next, but I'm still not giving not his usual jolly self that much of a pass. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we get to that, the chief elf jumps on Hermie's case for missing elf practice, blaming him for the failed performance, which is the last straw for him, and he runs off. And I don't blame him. Where's the jolliness that the elves are supposed to have? You'd think the one in charge would be jollier than his other elves, but he's as grumpy as Santa. Is summer a bad time? Do winter people just do seasonal affective disorder in reverse? Back at the reindeer games, which teaches reindeer how to fly, Rudolph catches the eye of a young doe named Clarice. And no, there will not be a Silence of the Lambs joke in this special. Deal with it! Clarice tells our hero she thinks he's cute, which causes him to give a great flying leap. How do you teach a reindeer to fly, you ask? Well, maybe that feed corn magic continues to the next generation or something. Don't worry so much, it's Christmas. Unfortunately, his nose cover falls off and everyone freaks out. Kids start calling him names and Santa blames Donner? Okay, this is the one thing critics of this special complain about that I have to agree with. What the holly, Santa? I know he's grumpy today for some reason, but why is a glowing nose a reason to keep him off the team? Yeah, it's not until the snowstorm, that Santa learns he's an idiot, but he's still an idiot. I could see if he at least had a lame excuse, like he'd blind someone or something, but we don't even get that. I guess looks only don't matter with kids, right, Santa Claus? He doesn't even try to keep the peace, he just walks off. Santa should never be a jerk. Even Comet kicks Rudolph out of the games. Clarice catches up and is the only one on his side.
Aren't you going to laugh at my nose, too?
I think it's a handsome nose. Much better than that silly false one you were wearing.
It's terrible. It's different from everybody else's.
But that's what makes it so grand. Why, any doe would consider herself lucky to be with you.
Yeah? But I wasn't very lucky today, was I? I wish... I wish...
There's always tomorrow for dreams to come true. Believe in your dreams, come what may. There's always tomorrow, so much to do, and so little time in a day.
Props to Janice Ornstein. She has an amazing voice. Even the animals join in and Rudolph starts to feel better. Then Clarus's father shows up and forbids her from playing with him because life isn't done dumping on Rudolph today. No wonder he runs off. His own father disappointed him because of one alleged deformity. In the original, it sounded like his peers are the only ones who buffed on Rudolph for his glowing nose, but here, Clarice is the only one who doesn't mind. At this point, even Santa deserves call. I don't blame the kid. At least when I was a bully victim as a kid, my parents, my cousins, and a few friends were on my side at school. Teachers didn't seem to care because this was well before the anti-bullying campaign turned boys who would be boys, but this is just, pardon the expression, cold on everyone's part. Like I said, no wonder Rudolph runs off. He meets up with Hermie and the two compare notes, deciding to run off together to find their own way.
We're a couple of misfits. We're a couple of misfits. What's the matter with misfits? That's where we fit in. We're not daffy and silly. Don't go round willy-nilly. Seems to us kind of silly that we don't fit in. Why am I such a misfit? I am not just a nitwit. You can't fire me, I quit. Seems I don't fit in.
Why am I such a misfit? I am not just a nitwit. Just because my nose grows. Why don't I fit in?
This is a good song, as the two of them accept they're just not cut out for their societies and are going to venture out on their own. It works better as an empowerment song, when in its proper context, mind you, than a certain other song I can mention, even if it doesn't play as well on the radio. Interestingly, for a brief time, this special aired with Replacement. From 1965 through 1997, according to the Christmas Special Wiki, who blends it on an extended ending, we have a completely different song.
Fame and fortune, we're off to seek them now. Everyone can have the most, it just takes the right know-how. We put on our traveling shoes today.
We won't stop until we find the way.
To be honest, I don't like it. It isn't bad necessarily, but it really doesn't fit the theme here. Rudolph and Hermie aren't seeking fame and fortune. They're seeking a place to fit in and be themselves. Maybe they should have come up with an edited version of We're a Couple of Misfits instead. At any rate, our new friends decide to leave Christmastown and find their own place in the world. And I still don't blame them.
And that's where we stand right now. Rudolph and Hermie are tired of being dumped on. Hermie gets it from his friends, and Rudolph gets it from all but two people, and one of them is forbidden to see him. I don't blame them for getting out of a toxic environment, even though Rudolph is technically still a kid here. Then again, he's already talking and checking out bathes after maybe 3 years, so Reindeer could just age faster. And this part is why this is one of my favorite holiday specials and song. I've been in their place throughout my childhood, and I still have problems relating to others. But it doesn't always have to be that way, does it? When some of my old schoolmates and even former tormentors heard about the last time I had multiple hospital stays, when I learned what Crohn's disease is, they took up a collection to help me out, even though it was a few years after the nonsense. I even made friends with a couple of my former tormentors before that, and they apologized for what they put me through. I have had relationships and made new friends through the internet, from All Toys Transformers, the Usenet group, to the Bob and George forums, and my time on Reviewers Unknown. I still have problems, but I was always pretty shy with questionable social skills even before the bullying started. So how much I can still blame on that, who knows. But let's hope it gets better for Rudolph and Hermie too, because I think they're pretty cool. But oddly, things are about to get tougher. Remember, we still have a villain out there, and they're gonna need a new friend. But God does provide, doesn't he? Especially at Christmas.
Somehow our heroes manage to get past the abominable snowman and make it through morning, where they come across, about halfway through the special, our final main character, and he is a character alright. This is Yukon Cornelius, prospector who finds gold and silver by licking his pickaxe after hitting it into the ground. That doesn't seem sanitary. I'm sure the guys on Gold Rush haven't tried that for a reason, but it totally doesn't work for him anyway. His quest does lead to Burl Ives, still as our snowman, singing one of his more famous songs.
Silver and gold, silver and gold. Everyone wishes for silver and gold. How do you measure its worth? Just by the pleasure it gives here on earth.
According to the Christmas Specials wiki, this was going to be Yukon's song before the narrator was added. And frankly, wouldn't you rather have Burl Ives singing it? It became one of his signature Christmas songs, and I'm not sure it would have been as good or really fit his character had Yukon sung it. After all, it's about how silver and gold only have worth as Christmas decorations, while Yukon's after the financial worth. Then again, it means the story stops so Ives can have a song, but when you have Burl Ives, you give him a songbuster, and you give it to him now. Yukon offers to give the boys a lift as he goes for supplies, and if he can get his dogs to get back to work. And then the Bumble, as Yukon calls him, shows up to attack.
It's my nose. He keeps giving us away.
Is there a scene missing or a mess up in animation? Because we haven't seen that nose since the first escape. It's not lit all the time, you know. I have to push the tail down on mine. Thanks to the Bumble not being able to swim, our heroes get away on a homemade ice break. Back home, Donner starts to feel bad about how he treated Rudolph, which just confirms what every kid who ran away from home thinks will happen. Minus the snow monster, of course. He heads off after his son, followed by Mrs. Donner, that's what they call her here, and Clarice. Back with our heroes, and they're trapped in the fog.
Fog as thick as peanut butter.
You mean pea soup?
You eat what you like, I'll eat what I like.
That's anybody who knows me. I'm totally on Yukon's side here. They managed to find land and ended up face first on the island of Misfit Toys, where they run into a jack-in-the-box named Charlie. That's why he's a misfit toy. At least the others have better backstories.
A scooter for Jimmy,
A dolly for Sue.
the kind that will even say,
How do you do?
when Christmas Day is here, the most wonderful day of the year.
How would you like to be a spotted elephant?
Or a choo-choo with square wheels on your caboose.
Or a water pistol that shoots jelly.
We're all misfits.
Well, some of them do. Frankly, I don't think being spotted would stop a kid from liking an elephant, and I'm not sure why a jelly-shooting squirt gun can't be filled with something other than jelly. Not that Brady siblings wouldn't go with the jelly anyway, mind you. But if our non-toy misfits want to hang out here, they need to see King Moonracer, which is actually not a toy, but a winged lion who protects the toys. You think this is odd? Try watching Rudolph's Shiny New Year. Winged lion is tame compared to what a reindeer friend has to deal with there. But because Rudolph and Hermie aren't toys, and Dust can't hide themselves away on an island, he can't allow them to remain, but does ask that, if they should return to Christmastown, to tell Santa about Moonracer finding unwanted toys here, in the hopes that Santa Claus will find them a child who will love them, which Rudolph agrees to, since misfits have to look off for each other. Isn't that the point of Rudolph and Hermie going off together? Moonracer does allow them to spend the night. However, Rudolph sneaks off, worried that the Bumble will follow his nose and put his friends into further danger. I'm pretty sure he has better things to do than to follow one reindeer all over creation. Then again, I'll be proven wrong later, but that's not the point. As time goes on, Rudolph runs away from the monster, making the occasional friend and growing older, even getting antlers that will totally be forgotten in every appearance in this particular series after this, even the one not produced by Rankin Bass. As he matures, he realizes that he can't run anymore and returns to Christmastown. And naturally, being long gone doesn't stop the other reindeer from making fun of him the moment they see him. Jerks. Santa informs Rudolph that Clarice and his parents went out to search for him and haven't been seen in months, and being so close to Christmas, Santa is worried. Hey, this story takes place back when traveling took months, unless you had a train. Rudolph sets out to find them, but that's when that snowstorm Santa was talking about finally hits. You know, the one that covered the world. Luckily, Rudolph knows where to look. Unluckily, it's the Bumble's cave, where sure enough the snow monster looks ready to eat Clarice. Rudolph tries to stop them and gets a stalactite on the noggin for his trouble. That's when Herbie and Yukon, who've been looking for Rudolph themselves, arrive. With Herbie making pig noises because Yukon knows Bumbles prefer pig to deer, Yukon gets to drop on him with ice from the top of his own cave. And then Herbie pulls out his teeth. I wonder how he charges for that. My dad's been having tooth issues. Yukon and his sled dogs push the Bumble over the edge of the cliff, but unfortunately fall with him. Saddened at the loss of their friends, our misfits can only return to Christmas Town with the other reindeer. Hiding in Santa's place from the storm and hearing their tale, everyone apologizes for driving them off. And Santa agrees to stop by the island of misfit toys to find everyone at home. And Hermes is allowed to open his dentist's office. But it's not a Christmas special with unhappy endings, so Yukons and the sled dogs arrive, safe and sound with a reformed Bumble. How does one survive a huge fall from a high cliff?
Didn't I ever tell you about Bumbles? Bumbles bounce!
Yeah, works for me. Not sure how they reformed him, though. Bumble gets a job topping Christmas trees, but with that storm, Santa can't see to deliver Christmas presents. Also, Santa's still thin, and Mrs. Claus expects him chubby and plump in 2 days. Good luck with that. Maybe if his food wasn't purple? Santa's ready to cancel Christmas until Rudolph's nose gives him inspiration. Yeah, you know what's coming.
Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight?
Of course he agrees, which means leading his dad and potential father-in-law, who we don't see apologize, but I'm going to pretend he did with the other reindeer because the heck with your cynicism, it's Christmas. Burl Elias sings a song he made a classic, Holly Jolly Christmas, and if you want to hear that, turn on a radio at Christmas time, you're sure to hear it. And what do you know, Mrs. Claus was right. He got fat in 2 days. It's like the opposite of every fake diet plan ever made. Or exactly the results of some of them. With Rudolph in the lead, the sleigh takes off, stopping at the island to collect the misfit toys, and off they flew to bring the toys to the good little children of all the world. And as for Rudolph, well, we already know what happens to him.
And that is a classic tale of Rudolph and his adventures. While other versions have been made, including the original book meant as a store promo for the holidays, this is the version that stuck with everyone, and I think I know why.
Admittedly, Christmas itself doesn't play any role in the resolution. Rudolph and Hermes' detractors come to their senses because they grow a conscience, not because of anything connected to the holiday. The Mumble is said to hate anything Christmas, but that doesn't explain why he runs after Rudolph. Man, Christmas doesn't reform the Bumble, it's something Yukon did off-screen. On the other hand, a lot of us can relate to Rudolph and Hermes. Rudolph wanted to be accepted by his peers, but due to something about him nobody realizes is special, they mistreat him and keep him from having friends and being part of something. I can certainly relate to that, and I'm not alone. Hermes is going against the societal norm by wanting to be something other than what his peers, Reed family, thinks he should be, but decides to follow his dream instead, and he eventually wins them over. The Misfits win without having to change who and what they are. They're accepted, loved, and happy. And what else could us real-world Misfits want? That would be greater than any present under the tree.
And that's why, even with a superficial tie to Christmas, the special and the song connect to us, and to me. It's the story of two who go against the societal norm. One's an ugly duckling who becomes a beautiful swan, and the other who follows a dream in his heart and succeeds. I mean, those are good messages, one for others and one for us. But both something we can take away from it, and something we can take to heart. That's why the recent cynical tag-on where Rudolph demands an apology rubs me the wrong way. He doesn't have to be apologized to, because Christmas is a time of forgiveness and rebirth. He won their favor by showing God granted him a wonderful gift, and he uses that to benefit society and does his part to spread joy and happiness throughout the world. The joy in his heart is reward enough and all he needs. The others do see they were wrong and love him for what they didn't realize he was, and that's what we really need. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is an inspiration in that regard.
He certainly inspired me, in more ways than one. But I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and I hope you have many, many more. To the rest, Happy Holidays. Whichever one you have, and all the ones you've had throughout the year, from BW Media Spotlight.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history.